Hello everyone, I am Kinshuk and I welcome you all on this StudyIQ platform. So we are continuing with our science and technology lecture, and in the previous sessions we have talked about chapter 5 of our science and technology book. Okay. So far we have seen certain chapters, like we have talked about cell, we have talked about tissues, we have talked about the different parts of the human body, we have talked about the organ systems, and then we have also talked about the diseases section. Okay. So now we are moving to the 6th chapter, and in that we have to read about biological discussion. In this chapter, we have two very much important topics that I am going to discuss in the upcoming lectures. In this session, I am going to discuss about one very important topic for prelims as well as mains examination. That is algal bloom. Okay, that is algal bloom. So we are going to see that what exactly is algal bloom and the remaining things. Okay, so you can follow me also on Telegram for regular updates on science and tech. This is my Telegram ID. You can follow me there. Yeah. Now, so in this chapter, what we are going to see that what exactly are algae, what are their characteristic features, what are the benefits of algae, and at the same time, we are going to also discuss about one of the concepts called as algal bloom. So we are going to see into all these dimensions. Okay. Let us start our discussion. But before going into that, see this one question. There is a concern over the increase in harmful algal blooms in the sea waters of India. What could be the causative factor for this phenomena? Okay. So in 2011, UPSC has asked about this algal bloom, that what are the factors responsible behind this. Here, of course, the answer is D, that is 1, 2, and 3. Basically, the discharge of nutrient from the estuaries, the runoff of the land during the monsoon, and upwelling in the seas, all of them are responsible behind algal bloom. So we are going to see in detail that how this algal bloom is caused and what are its implications as well. Okay. So now see, if we talk about algae, like you might see this image. This image itself is telling you that what the algal bloom actually looks like. Okay. You will find that many times when you are going around a pond or any water body, you will find this green covering over there. Now, this green covering doesn't simply mean that there is too much of vegetation in that area. It is also indicating of one very important phenomena, that is heavy water pollution. This algal bloom is occurring when there is too much of nutrient in the water body. When there is too much of nutrient, we call this process as eutrophication. We call this process as eutrophication. So when there is too much of nutrient in there, then the problems like algal bloom may be caused. Okay. So let us look at what are exactly algae. Basically, algae are chlorophyll having substances or chlorophyll bearing substances which are autotrophic, and they can be found in freshwater ecosystem as well as marine water ecosystem. So they survive in both freshwater and marine water. They are autotrophic. So keep one thing in mind, if they are autotrophic, it means they will be using the CO2 of the atmosphere, and they will also be generating oxygen in the process. Okay. So where they can be found? They can be found in the moist stones as well. They can be found in soils also. They can be also be found in wood as well. Okay. Some of the algae are also found in symbiotic association with other organisms. Like we have the lichens. Okay. We have also the example of coral reef, where we have zooxanthellae as a algae, and then we have the coral polyps as well. Then they can also be like in a symbiotic association with animals such as sloth bear. Okay. So the algae can be in symbiotic association with various organisms as well. They can be unicellular or they can also be multicellular organism. Okay. So that is basically our algae, an autotrophic organism which can be unicellular or multicellular. The habitat, it can range from the moist stones to the woods to even a symbiotic association with animals as well. Okay. So that is our algae. Then you can see we have got the different type of algae here. Here it is indicating the golden brown algae, red algae, and yellow green algae. This is the green algae which is more commonly seen into the oceans. Okay. or even our aquatic water body. Now, if we talk about what is the benefit of algae, what are the advantages that we can be getting from algae? If we look at this, algae is a very important food source. Okay. It is a very important food source. Now, there is one thing, nori. Nori is basically a seaweed which is used in sushi and spirulina. Sorry, which is used in sushi. And there is another one, spirulina, which is a blue-green algae which is known for its high nutritional value. Okay. So nori, which is known for sushi, and spirulina, which is known for its high nutritional value. Okay. So that is one thing. It is commonly used as a food source. Okay. And that too having high nutritional value. Then we also have got renewable energy. Basically, if you have read about the different generations of biofuel in India, you might have seen that in the third generation of biofuel, we are going to make use of algae. And in the fourth generation, we are going to make use of genetically modified algae as well. Okay. This can also be used in part of generation of renewable energy. Now, if you remember, in 2023 mains examination, we have got one question that how microbes can help in generation of the various energy sources. Okay, so that is one of the part here that algae can be a part of generation of the renewable sources. Then carbon sequestration. Just before this slide, we were discussing that algae is a autotrophic organism, means it has the capacity to absorb the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and it can release the oxygen. So yes, it can also be a very important tool in carbon sequestration. You know that right now we are having so much of increase in the carbon dioxide gases. It has been seen that nearly 45 times increase in concentration of carbon dioxide has been seen in the lower atmosphere. So now this is something which can be removed, which can be eliminated from our troposphere by the help of, again, algae. So it can help in carbon sequestration also. Then water purification. Some of the algae can also be a useful tool in bioremediation. Bioremediation means use of living organism in order to get rid of pollution. So some of the algae can also be used for the purpose of bioremediation. Many of them also have the ability to absorb some of the heavy metals as well. Okay, so that is water purification. Then they can also be used in pharmaceutical and biotechnological. Like many of the algae have antioxidant properties. They are acting as anti-inflammatory agents and antimicrobial compounds are also there. So they can be a suitable tool for fighting various diseases and controlling various elements inside the body. Okay. Apart from this, they can be used in production of fertilizer, animal feeds, pigments, as well as they can be an alternative to the chemical fertilizers. So basically the fertilizers and all other related aspects can also be prepared, can also be produced with the help of algae as well. Okay. Now, if we talk about the ecological role, see, algae are very important for the aquatic ecosystem. They form the base of the aquatic ecosystem. They are the producers there and the entire marine ecosystem depends upon them. Now you know that marine ecosystem is also very much essential for the coastal community, for the livelihood of coastal communities, for the food security of the coastal communities. And now you can understand the importance of algae there. Algae is at the base of that ecosystem. Algae is the producer in that ecosystem. So it is playing a very important role in maintaining the marine ecosystem, in maintaining the river ecosystem. Okay. So that is the benefits of algae which we can see. Okay. Now, there is one thing called as algal bloom. Okay. Algal bloom simply means a rapid expansion, a rapid explosion in the population of algae. When the population of algae intensifies, explodes in a very limited period of time, then this event is what we call as algal bloom. So huge explosion in the population of algae. of population. So the question is, what is the underlying factor? Why this huge population explosion is registered? Why we can see this huge population explosion, or why this algal bloom? The main factor behind this algal bloom is increased amount of nutrients. Okay, increased amount of nutrients. Okay, so if the nutrient content in the water body is enhancing, it is getting increased, then it can lead to algal bloom. Now the question is, how this nutrient content is increasing? Why this nutrient content is increasing? Now see, there are a number of factors behind it. There can be some natural factors, there can be some anthropogenic factors also. Okay, so if we look at the natural factors, we can talk here. If we talk about the natural factor, suppose that we are talking about a river or a sea body, then due to rainfall, what will happen? Due to rainfall, the nutrient from the nearby areas, suppose that this is our pond, so from the nearby areas, the nutrients will be flowing into this river, into this pond, or into this water body, and rainfall will enhance the number of, or the amount of nutrient in this water body. Okay, so rainfall is one of the major causes. Rainfall, cyclones, and all of these factors, they are one of the major causes. Now naturally also, when the vegetation is growing, when the aquatic ecosystem is maturing, then due to natural factors, due to natural process also, there can be increase in the nutrient. When the animals will die, when the organisms inside this will die, they will go into the basement, they will go into the bottom of this pond, and they will again become nutrient there. They will be decomposed upon by the decomposers, and they will add nutrition there. So that can be one of the source. But then in the present times, we see that the anthropogenic factors are one of the major contributors for the algal bloom. And what are these anthropogenic factors? Basically, we have started to pollute the water bodies. Okay, we have started to pollute the water bodies. Our sewage, our industrial waste, our agricultural waste, our domestic waste, all of them, they are going into the rivers, they are going into the ponds. So they are like, we are adding more and more nutrient over there, and that is increasing the nutrient content, causing the algal bloom. Then due to human activities, we have seen that the natural factors have also become enhanced. They have also become extreme. That we can see due to climate change, the number and intensity, the frequency and intensity of extreme climatic events such as cyclones, such as storms, floods, they have increased. So now due to increasing flood and cyclones, now we can see that more and more content, more and more nutrient is getting added to this pond or the water body. Okay. So due to human-led factors, due to human factors, there has been climate change. Climate change caused more extreme events. Frequency has increased. Now we have got more number of cyclones, more chances of floods, more chances of rainfall in various parts of the world. So as a result of this, the water bodies are continuously getting more amount of sediments in there, leading to enhanced nutrient capacity of the water body. And ultimately, it becomes one of the cause of the algal bloom. Now remember that question which we have seen in the beginning of this session, that upwelling in the oceans, that is also one of the natural factor. You know that the ocean currents are operating, there is upwelling of currents and downwelling of currents. So whenever the upwelling of current is happening along the coastal regions, they can also become one of the source of adding nutrient to the surface of the water and can become a cause of algal bloom as well. Okay, so that is algal bloom. Now there is one thing called red tide. So what exactly is this red tide? Red tide is basically a misnomer. It is not actually a tide which is appearing red. It is again basically a algal bloom. It is also basically a algal bloom which has been caused due to the red algae. It is caused due to the red algae. So it is not something which is like a new water has been created or tide is appearing red. It is simply because we have got the algae cover over the entire water body, and this is caused due to the red and brown algae. Okay. So red tide is a misnomer. There is no such tide which is appearing red. It is the algae which is over the entire surface and which gives the appearance of red tide when the tide evolves in the water body. Okay. Now, you might have seen also one thing, you might have seen this one news in the recent past, that Lonar Lake in Maharashtra, it has turned pink. Okay. Lonar Lake in Maharashtra, this is one lake which has been created by a crater. Crater lake means it has been created due to a meteorite impact. Due to a meteorite impact. Can you tell me one thing? What is the difference between meteors, meteoroids, and meteorite? Here we have got there is also one thing meteors, and there is also one thing meteoroids. So can you tell me what is the difference between them? Now this is something which I will leave to you. You can answer this question in the comment box, that what is the difference between them. Okay. Now look at this. The Lonar Lake in Maharashtra has turned pink. Now this is not something which was caused due to algae. Earlier it was believed that it might have been caused due to red pigmented Dunallaria algae, but it was not correct. Later on, it was found that there is a bacteria Haloarchaea or halophilic archaea. Due to excess production or excess population of this bacteria, the Lonar Lake has turned pink into color. Okay, so this was not due to algal bloom. So remember this thing, this is one of the current events, and you have to know now this is not a algal bloom. It has been caused due to Haloarchaea, a bacteria which is found in this area. Okay. Now, what is the impact of this algal bloom? What impact which we can see? Basically, first of all, water quality may degrade. Some benefits we have already seen, that how it can help. Now, if we talk about the harms or the disadvantages, the first thing is it can degrade the water quality. Okay. This water may not be fit for consumption by the humans or other organisms. So first thing is water quality is going to degrade. You also know one thing, that algal bloom means the water is already quite polluted. So this has already resulted in degraded quality of water. Then one more thing, if algal bloom is there, you have seen the pictures. You have seen the first picture that algal bloom covers the entire surface of the water. So when the entire surface of water is covered, now the sunlight will not be reaching to the fishes, to the water, to the different plants and all. Okay. So ultimately it can cause harm to them. Then some of the algae, they are also toxic in nature. Now due to that, the fishes may die. One more thing, the algae blocks the proper exchange of oxygen between the atmosphere and the water body. Suppose that this is the water body, this is the water level, and now we have got algae over there. So the oxygen exchange between the atmosphere and the water body is disturbed, is hampered. And as a result of this, if less oxygen is there, the fishes will start to die. You might have seen one thing. Last year there was this news. There is Sea of Marmara. Sea of Marmara in Turkey. So in Turkey there was also this algal bloom, and you might have seen that within a span of a few weeks, just 1 or 2 weeks, around 70 to 75% of the fishes in that area have died. Okay. So cutting off the oxygen is one of the result of algal bloom, and it can lead to killing of the fishes as well. Then shrimps or the shellfish, they can also get contaminated due to toxic chemicals coming from the algae. So contamination of the shellfish can also be one of the reason. Now shellfish can be consumed by the coastal communities or the marine ecosystem organisms. That can also lead to problems in the entire food chain. Okay, so it is going to impact the food chain itself here. Okay, then commercial opportunities are also going to be lost. Like suppose that if there is a lake, it is quite famous for the tourist, but suppose there is algal bloom. Algal bloom are also having quite bad odor, bad smell. So now the people will not be going there for recreational activities, for tourism, for boating, or any other activity. So what it can do, it can lead to the loss of recreational opportunities, and thus the economic loss will follow. The people in that area will lose the employment opportunities. Those who are dependent upon that lake ecosystem or sea ecosystem will be facing the problem. Okay. At the same time, it is a source of food also. So that is also something which is going to be hampered. Suppose there is this one condition. If there is an area which is impacted by algal bloom, the fishermen who are there, first of all, they will not be getting sufficient amount of fish. And even if they are getting it there, the people will not be ready to buy the fishes from those regions which is having algal bloom, which is polluted water. So it is going to hurt that economic perspective also, economic prospect also. Okay. Human health risk. Now you know that this is entering into the food chain. So of course, human health risk will also be following. Human health risk can follow from other factor as well. Those people who are living in that area, they will be continuously exposed to the smell, the bad smell of that algal bloom. The water is degrading. The water is, you can say that, decaying. The ecosystem is decaying. It can lead to release of various gases which can have harmful impact on the people. So that is also one of the factors which can impact the people in that area. Then disruption of the entire ecosystem. It is seen that if there is an algal bloom in an area, then in a certain amount of time, in a few weeks, in 15-20 days, it is seen that the ecosystem starts to degrade. The animals there start to die. Suppose that if this is a lake ecosystem or a pond ecosystem, it is also seen that in some period of time, the entire lake, the entire pond also disappears. Of course, it doesn't happen in 1 month or 2 months. It takes years. But yes, the entire ecosystem is destroyed, disrupted. So this algal bloom, if the harmful algal blooms are there, it has a serious impact on the economy, on the ecosystem, on the health of the people and the entire environment there. Okay. So that is our algal bloom. We have seen that the questions have been asked from this section in prelims also, and there might be some question in mains exam as well. Okay. Now, see this one more question UPSC has asked in 2021. They have asked, consider the following kind of organism: copepods, cyanobacteria, diatoms, and foraminifera. Which of the above are primary producers in the food chain of the ocean? And you can see that the diatom is a algae, and the cyanobacteria, although not completely algae, but sometimes it is also called as blue-green algae. So basically, these are the two ones which are responsible for the primary production in the marine ecosystem. So here the answer is B, 2 and 3 only. Okay. So that is all from this session. We have discussed about what is algal bloom. We have seen that what are its characteristics, what useful impacts can be there, plus what are the harms as well. We have also seen some of the current events related to it, like we have talked about Sea of Marmara, we have talked about the Lonar Lake also. We have also talked about one of the related concept, that is red tide. Okay. So let's meet in the next session. We are going to discuss one more very important topic in the next session, that is insectivorous plants, the plants which are carnivorous in nature. So from chapter 6, we are going to discuss this chapter. We are going to discuss this topic there. Okay. So let's see you in the next session. Thank you very much. All the best. Thank you.